from the internet. And today is the 7th of January, 2025. We are live from the Refuge HQ. We're going to hang out, we're going to drink a little bit of coffee, and we're going to talk about...
the world is ending? I'm sorry.
No, the world's always ending, but it's not Wednesday, so it's not We All Gonna Die Wednesday. It's also not Monday. It's apparently Tuesday. And we're going to talk about some of the Shawn Ryan show stuff with Matt Livelsberger, Matt Berg, that guy, the Cybertruck explosion, all of that. We're going to talk about the New Orleans dude, totally not a terrorist, guys, Shamsuddin Jabbar, which is, you know, a good Catholic name. We're also going to talk about the General Flynn Network, which is an interesting thing that I keep brushing up against. And whatever else we're going to talk about. What's up, Riddlin? Good morning. Akiata Skarata. Good morning. Good morning to everybody in the chat. I appreciate you guys and girls. You know the drill. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Share is really important. Thank you for the super chat already, Biffer. I appreciate you. The share is a big deal because it gets us around the YouTube algorithm, which doesn't like us. What's up, 12C? Flustercluck, good morning, sister. So, I just got my first copy of the scriptures. Now I can follow along in the home game. Awesome, Tyler. Appreciate you. And you guys also know the drill. This show is brought to you by the creator of the universe, Yahweh, your Elohim, the Lord, your God. Refuge Medical, this company right here behind me. And the fine people over at Patreon. What's up, Iridium Group? Good morning. We just posted on Patreon this morning what to look for when buying land. For all you homestead, people with homestead aspirations. Sorry, brain is still in low gear. So that's up as of this morning. I do have a written brief here. I guess maybe we'll do the written brief first, and then I have a lot of thoughts, and I have a lot of interesting experiences since, frankly, Hurricane Helene. As far as the parallel government is concerned, and it's just weird. It's just weird for a dude from Oklahoma, you know, pastor, small business owner, to keep brushing up against this stuff. So, in the early hours of New Year's Day, a truck passed a New Orleans PD unit, then swiftly maneuvered around it onto a sidewalk to plow into a crowd on New Orleans Bourbon Street, killing 14 people and injuring 35 more. Totally not a terror attack, according to the FBI. What followed was an exchange of gunfire with the police, which killed the attacker. Inside the truck was an ISIS flag, which was upside down and still had creases in it from having been recently packaged. Interesting. Literally a false flag, possibly. You want the bottom line up front? The FBI is in on it, I think. Not the entire FBI, but a certain subset of the Federal Bureau of Investigation isn't just aware of these bad guys, they're enabling them. Oops, I said the quiet part out loud. I'm not suicidal. Not even a little bit. What followed was an exchange of gunfire with the police, which killed the attacker. Inside the truck was an ISIS flag, a handgun, an AR-style rifle, and an improvised explosive devices. Now, interestingly, the explosives is a derivative of RDX, which is a type of plastic explosive, and it's very rare, the type of explosives that this dude, Shamsuddin Jabbar, very rare that anybody would have access to this particular type of explosive. So that's an indicator. Indicator of what? Nation state involvement, federal involvement. Is that Hillary Clinton behind you? No, I don't see a Presidential Medal of Honor anywhere in here, so it could be Hillary Clinton. Or George Soros, or Denzel Washington. You know, I didn't want to think old Denzel was a pedo, but apparently he is. Or, yeah. So much for Man on Fire, Creasy Bear. Such a good video. Oh well. You just can't you just can't support any of these people. You know what I mean? I was, my 8-year-old the other day That's it. We're off script. My 8-year-old the other day was like, "Hey, can I listen to some Taylor Swift?" And it's like, "No, you can't. You can't listen to some Taylor Swift. Please don't." She's like, "Why?" I'm like, "Well, how do you explain to your 8-year-old that Taylor Swift is involved in and supports monetarily, if nothing else, an international ring of satanic pedophiles?" So I was like, "No, honey, she just hangs out with people that hurts kids." And she's like, "Okay, well, how do they hurt kids?" I'm like, "Well, I'm not going to tell you about that. You don't need to worry about it. Just no. I would prefer it if we didn't give Taylor Swift any attention, because attention is the new currency. So no, we're not going to listen to Taylor Swift." You just can't. You know, it's like, what can you do anymore? I don't know. Learn the banjo. Sit on your porch, make your own moonshine, eat your own chickens and sheep, and just stay home and don't watch the news. Don't consume any media from anybody ever. All right, so since New Year's Day, the FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation, has named Shamsuddin Jabbar, a 42-year-old Army veteran from Houston, as the man responsible for the attack. Now, there's a lot of stuff coming out where it's like, "Hey, man, this dude, Shamsuddin Jabbar, was at Fort Bragg, and so was Matt Berg. He was at Fort Bragg, and so was the second Trump assassination attempt guy. I forget his name. Ryan Routh, was that his name? Ralph Ruth, whatever. He was at Fort Bragg 147 times, or 140 plus times." Okay, Fort Bragg, now Fort Liberty, a considerable military installation. Half of the Army at some point, depending on your MOS, is going to pass through Fort Bragg. Now, Timothy McVeigh was also at Fort Bragg. So is there a certain subset of something going on over there that maybe, so were the men who stare at goats. Weren't they also at Fort Bragg? So to just say, "Oh, well, it's a Fort Bragg problem." Well, I know a lot of dudes that went to Fort Bragg that I trust with my life. So I don't think it's just a Fort Bragg thing. Red says, "Who cares?" Red, if you don't care, then this is probably not going to be the live stream for you, homie. So, this dude, Shamsuddin Jabbar, responsible for the attack per the FBI, was also at Fort Bragg for a time. Law enforcement found that he had created 2 homemade bombs using a rare explosive compound that had never been used in a terror attack either in the US or in Europe. While they did not detonate and were rendered safe at the scene, this discovery opens further concerns about how he learned about and obtained this compound. Now, initial reporting, which is almost always wrong, said that he acted alone. And then they said, based upon CCTV, closed circuit television, security cameras, no, there were 3 or 4 other people with him that were planting bombs. And then they said after that, the big they, said, no, those were just innocent bystanders that it appeared they were planting bombs. And also remember, this is definitely not a terror attack. Okay. I think it's literally a false flag operation, which begs the question as to why. Let's go big picture strategic here. Either, now, listen, this is for mature audiences. Hopefully you figured that out already. And not just mature in age, but mature in intellectual capacity as well. Either Orange Man is as terrible as everybody says he is, and he is going to drain the swamp, and he is going to expose the satanic pedophiles and blah, 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 blah. He's a threat to democracy. He is a threat to their democracy, right? Because we're supposed to be a representative republic. Either he's as terrible for the deep state as they say he is, or K Bono, who benefits from a conflagration inside of a Cybertruck in front of the Trump Hotel in Vegas? Or Trump is just one of them. Or a different version of them. Which brings me to the Flynn Network, which we'll talk about in a moment. False flag operation. Why? Well, I think the deep state et al. And the Democrats, if you will, basically everybody who just received a Presidential Medal of Honor, those people there are not good people, and they are threatened by Trump. And they probably will be exposed to the extent that they can be exposed. And there probably will be a swing of the pendulum back towards patriotic Americana, which is great. Good, like that. But those people are going to push back, have been pushing back against Trump, because they're going to lose their stranglehold on the democracy, which basically allows them to fleece the American taxpayer. I mean, people in my own state here, flyover country of Oklahoma, we have senators that go to D.C. with, you know, a net worth measured in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they're currently worth $73.6 million, and are 100% engaged in insider trading. We have senators here that are all the way, or former senators that were all the way diddling kids. Unacceptable. And I live in nowhere. Right? There's 4 million people in Oklahoma. 1.5 million live in Oklahoma City. 1 million live in Tulsa. The other 1.5 million live in the entire state. Okay? Low population density. And it happens here, just from people that are associated with Washington, D.C. So, anyway, they're pushing back against Trump. They don't want this dude to take office because of the exposure. Now, that's the narrative that's being pushed. Here's the thing to understand. The narrative is never the truth. The counter narrative is also never the truth. Okay? The truth lies somewhere underneath the narrative and the counter narrative. It's not in between the narrative and the counter narrative. The narrative and the counter narrative cover up. They monopolize the conversation, where the truth actually lies beneath the narrative and the counter narrative, not between the narrative and the counter narrative, below it. Okay? So, Wrangler Star, shalom, my brother. Thank you, by the way, for the full wrap handle for the MS500i that we have joint custody over, and for the logging tape. You're a true gentleman. I appreciate you. And I hope your cozy cabin is serving you well. I have no idea what the temperature is there right now, but it's not exactly warm here in Oklahoma. West Coast man in the chat. Appreciate you, brother. By the way, having got to know Cody a little bit on deployment with Grindstone, Hurricane Helene, that's a good man right there. That is a good man right there. I'm in Las Vegas for CES. Awesome. Be safe, homie. Be safe. Speaking of Vegas, the sheriff who is presiding over this current debacle with the Cybertruck in front of the Trump Hotel, that guy, who's his buddy, the former sheriff, known for greatest hits such as the Mandalay Bay shooting, which they said was perpetrated by one guy from a single hotel room, where nobody talks about the helicopters and the overlapping fields of fires with machine guns. For what reason? For what reason? And who was in charge of that? And nobody talks about the Bundy Ranch and everything that went down there. So Las Vegas Sheriff's Department, Las Vegas Metro PD, the leadership there isn't exactly, you know, squeaky clean, scot-free. So as far as a place to perpetrate a false flag terror attack, perpetrated by a 19-year combat veteran Green Beret. Now, he was an 18 Zulu, but that doesn't mean that he didn't know how to make explosions. And I've talked to a fair number of people in the soft community since this has gone down, some that I've reached out to and some that have reached out to me, regarding the conflagration, which is a technical term because it wasn't an explosion of the Cybertruck. This whole thing with Matt Berg is so screwy. Nobody knows. I don't know, but I think that guy's still alive. And I think the reason that the PAO, the public affairs officer, was stating, both to Shawn Ryan and to others off the record, and now it's public knowledge perpetuated by the FBI, trustworthy witness? No. That his son's DNA didn't match the corpse in the car is because the corpse in the car wasn't him. I think it was somebody, but I don't think it was him. Now, that brings us to the 50 AE Desert Eagle, which even in a full metal jacket loading is not going to have an entry wound and an exit wound. It's going to be that the skull used to be here and now no longer exists, okay? Exactly, Kevin. PAO has never said anything off the record. All right? So he shot himself with the Desert Eagle, even though there's no muzzle flash recorded from possibly the flashiest gun on planet Earth inside the vehicle, observed by multiple security cameras. He was still moving at the time of the blast inside the vehicle, and there were two separate blasts, one inside the vehicle and one in the back of the vehicle. Okay. I don't think that was him. I think that guy's somewhere. And anyway, why? Why at this point would there be a narrative perpetuated exactly at Beat Hill? The CIA is hard at work. That our staunchest patriotic veterans can no longer be trusted. What if things do go sideways in between now and January 20th, or now and whenever? And the whole gravitic propulsion thing, these are Chinese drones, and not that gravitic propulsion isn't real, but the idea that China has submarines off of our coastlines and they can take DC at any point. I've not run into anybody that knows more than I do that thinks that that's legitimate. Okay. What's up, Mark O'Connor? Cot Lumber, the straightest 2x4s on planet Earth. If you need some 6-inch lag bolts, they got you, man. You need a T25 Torx bit, they got you. You want a Hilti brand? Do you want a DeWalt brand? Do you want a Milwaukee brand? They don't have that shit from China, but Cot Lumber, they've got you, man. If you need some R19 fiberglass insulation, some spray foam, maybe some weather stripping because it's cold and windy outside, cotlumber.com. Go check them out. That's KOTT lumber.com. I have no idea if they actually have a website. I just know all the guys at Cot Lumber watch the Bear Show. I like to give them a shout out every time I see. Ryan Siebold said $1,500 in medical kits and buckets. Thank you. I appreciate you, Ryan. And there's a whole thing there, right? These are mass casualty incidents that are happening all over the place. Now we're hearing about New Orleans. We're hearing about Vegas. What about somebody, was it in Iowa, cranked off 35 rounds into just traffic? What about the IEDs that were strapped to train cars that's barely being reported? What about, now Kansas City, Missouri is currently an ice skating rink. Mass casualty incidents abound. What about the plane that just crashed into the roof of a warehouse? What about all the other planes? What about this whole conversation that the reason that the embassy in Benghazi was abandoned by Hillary Clinton was because there were 400 tons of man pads. Now, confirmed, unconfirmed, I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't there. I wasn't part of this operation to provide Al-Qaeda and ISIS with U.S. manufactured man-portable air defense rockets. Okay? 400 tons. What's that? 20,000? 2,000? It's a lot. Thousands of shoulder-fired rockets that were being passed from the Americans through the embassy in Benghazi to the bad guys, ISIS/Al-Qaeda. Well, they're two different things and blah, blah, blah. What about the caliphate? What about, what's his face, Osama bin Laden's son, who kind of looks like Jason Momoa. He kind of, he looks like he should be playing bass in Metallica. But I digress upon my digression. So 400 tons of man pads were moved to the bad guys, which is why QRF was never spun up, which is why the QRF was not authorized to go, because those munitions had to be moved, and now allegedly those munitions have now found themselves here inside the United States of America. Well, how would they get here? Well, the border's porous. Well, shouldn't the FBI be responsible for this? Shouldn't they be looking out for us? I mean, the same. I got two words for you. Fast and Furious. Remember that? Oh, yeah. Yeah. American manufactured actual weapons of war that were being laundered to the cartels in Mexico by the Federal Bureau of Investigation through Eric Holder. Remember that guy? Yeah, during the Obama administration? Because these are super trustworthy people that we're dealing with here, right? Okay. So now we know that there's 4,000 known terror cells here. Sarah Adams, former CIA targeter of the Shawn Ryan show, which we'll get to in a moment, says there's at least 1,000 people, Al-Qaeda, etc., ISIS, ISIS-K, who have all been trained in Syria. They've been bloodied in Syria, who are now headed here to the United States, may already be here in the United States. That's another 1,000. Coupled with the 400,000 to 1.2 million military-age males who have come across the porous southern border over the last 4 years, coupled with now there's unsubstantiated reports that there are actual Chinese regular military in Mexico along the border. Doing what? probably training with the cartels, because the cartels will be used asymmetrically against us at some point. And we know that the United States has armed the cartels. We believe strongly that they're being trained by both China and Russia, which is exactly what I would do if I was a bad guy. So we got these guys on the southern border, which is part of why Trump is saying, hey, let's use the military, specifically JSOC, to attack the cartels, label them as terror organizations, because yes, fentanyl bad. Fentanyl very bad. But actually, the cartels are colluding with foreign militaries. What is terrorism? Terrorism is the use of violence for political gain. Okay, definitively. So yes, they're terrorists. But should the military attack the cartels? I don't know. I don't really want to get gunned down by Jose. All right. So all these are asymmetric mass casualty threats that are posed to the United States of America. Back to the point of $1,500 in medical kits. Thank you. Good job. Right. And oh, thank you. Thank you, says Lisa. And the missing nuclear weapons. No big deal. There's only 80 nukes missing from Ukraine. All of our Pomkis cache sites, prepositioned ordnance military cache United States during the early Cold War after World War II, where we had pocket nukes stationed all across Europe. All of those caches are empty. Nobody knows where they are. Let's not talk about the missing nuclear fissile materials after Hurricane Helene. Oh yeah. All that stuff. Which brings us around to Shawn Ryan. Why would Shawn Ryan go with this email that he got allegedly from Matt Leibesberger? Que bono. To what point? I think there's two ways this could have gone down. One, Shawn is a knowing accomplice in disinformation. Or two, Shawn is an unknowing accomplice in disinformation. Now, the same email was sent apparently to Terminal CWO, that's your Sam Shoemate guy there, who was on the Shawn Ryan show, was sent to the Anti-Hero podcast, was sent to a bunch of other people, allegedly to Joe Rogan and others. That doesn't mean shit. Anybody who has any email address, you can send an email to multiple different people, the same email to multiple different people. Which brings us to Red's comment here, he's a plant, CIA. That's the big question here. Now, I find it interesting. Is it just society or is it an actual operation that some of the largest podcasts on planet Earth are tied to people who used to be part of the CIA? And we know that external messaging for disinformation is part of what the CIA does. Now, they're not supposed to operate against the American people. But just like they're not supposed to operate, doesn't mean that they don't operate against the American people. So if you were to go over to Langley and walk through the front doors and read the quote from the Gospel of John, right? And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Yeah. Which truth? The truth or a truth? Which narrative? Which goes back to narrative, counter-narrative. The truth is not in the middle of the narrative and the counter-narrative. The truth is below the counter-narrative. Thank you, Miss Lovely Dudley. I appreciate you very much, sister. So I think there's a good chance that Matthew Leibesberger is still alive. And I think there's a very good chance that all the information that we're being told by both Shamsuddin Jabbar and Matthew Leibesberger is all fabricated nonsense. It's all garbage. Evidence of that, this guy, Shamsuddin Jabbar, the guy that got radicalized, former army, who then goes on this shooting spree in New Orleans after crashing his vehicle into a crowd of people. That guy, national news coverage has access to his home. Now, remember, the Airbnb that he was staying in got set on fire shortly afterwards, shortly after this attack went down. So there's multiple accomplices there. Also, quietly, the FBI was seeking more information about this guy from a known terror cell in College Station, Texas, okay, which, as the crow flies, is operationally close enough to New Orleans. All right, it's not like he was up in Saskatchewan. All right, so you may not know this, but Texas and Louisiana are next to each other. So, continuing, this guy has news crews in his home, where they just happen to find pipe bomb stuff and the Quran open to a passage about martyrdom and dude, 36 hours after the attack? No, that's all make-believe bullshit. I also find it interesting that Tesla says that the telemetry on the Cybertruck shows that it was not programmed to arrive at Trump Tower, that it was driven there. Okay. Now, let's go here real quick, and then I got to pee, so I'm going to let you talk to one of the ladies here while I go pee. Or maybe Bob. Maybe Bob will dress up like a lady. No, I can't do that per tour. Okay, the truck was driven there. Somebody was alive when they were in the Cybertruck when it was exploded. Well, it had to be Matthew Liversberger. No, it doesn't. It doesn't have to be. Well, who would drive that truck there to blow up? Well, first of all, somebody that's ideologically motivated could have done that, right? Bad guys blow themselves up all the time. Another option, just throwing this out there, especially if one has a specific skill set that maybe they learned working for the Department of Defense doing spooky guy stuff, is, and I'm not saying this happened, but I'm saying it could happen. Hey, you break into somebody's house, you say, here's what you're going to do. You're going to drive this truck over here, and you're going to just hit this big red button. And if you don't, your wife, your children, your mom, your dad, your dog, your cat, your pet ducks, everybody's going to eat around. You pick. Also, here's a duffel bag of cash. Your family will be set up for life. I need you to do this thing. Or everybody in here gets some smoke. That happens way more often than one would think that it does. And with that, I must go pee. So Liberty's going to talk to you briefly.
Come in.
Show them this bare minimum kit.
Okay.
And show them this one that we warranted and explain to them why we warranted it. And so when people are like, when I say it has a lifetime warranty,
yep,
should show them that I'm serious about this. I'll be right back.
Hey guys. Okay, so I'll start with this. We had a customer email in and said that their bare minimum ripped. You can kind of see it here. He purchased it, gosh, 3+ years ago. It even still has the Bear Independent tag on it. He got it, he spray painted it, and then he was running it on the outside of his bag for the last several years. So we lifetime guarantee our kits, no questions asked. We got him sent out a new one, but we had him send back the one that failed, the one that kind of tore, so we could diagnose it and figure out where the problems lied. So when we got it back, we saw that this webbing was something we actually switched away from years ago because the quality just wasn't great. It's a little not as tightly woven, and it was just something that we weren't a big fan of. So it's something that we had already mitigated years ago and changed, but I mean, it lasted him a long time running out there, you know, really hard on the outside of his bag. You can tell just by like the mud and spray paint and dirt. Like this did not just sit on somebody's shelf waiting to be used. But that's the only spot that it failed in, was right there, and you can even see that like some of it's still attached. It didn't even all the way tear. All the rest of it is great. So we were able to, same day he emailed us saying that it tore, we got him out a new bag. And then we just sent a packing label, return label in with it, and he was able to send this one back to us so that we could, you know, diagnose it, look at it, figure out what happened with it. So that's, you know, we lifetime guarantee our stuff, and that's why we always say it. Yes, I am married, for whoever is asking that in the chat. Well, I can't even say it. Cosmopolitan Cornbread. It was like, she's married, so the chat goes way too fast on here.
Yeah, that's because there's a lot of people here.
I know, man.
2,212 people.
Well, I got through showing him the old bag.
Okay.
Bear Facts, Bear Mins are set. Bear Facts will be showing up next week. All the red will be back in stock. And then beginning of February is when our adventure kits and travel facts and boo-boos all in red will be back. So we're working on it, and black plate carriers are being shipped out this week.
And I would recommend pre-ordering the travel fact.
Pre-order all of it.
Pre-order all of it. Thank you, Brett.
You're welcome.
We're back in a world, and have been in a world for a hot minute, where we like to have everything manufactured on the shelf, ready to ship out. And you don't hear a lot about it anymore, but supply chain is still an MFer. Like it's a problem. Like we have people reaching out to us like, can you get Ranger webbing? We need Ranger green webbing. It's like, you're 100 times the size of us. What do you mean you need Ranger green webbing? Like it's just weird. So to the extent that you can, go ahead and pre-order, get your order in so that we can manufacture and fulfill. But so speaking of webbing, like Liberty was saying, this is the old style webbing that we were using, and you can see that it pulled out here. And the reason for that is the weave. And so we transitioned away from this a while ago because I had questions about the durability of this weave. And then there's your response right there. There's the answer to that question. Yeah, it doesn't have the longevity that it should have. So now when I see products that are made with this weave, I'm like, no, that's not gonna last, because I know it's not gonna last, which is why on the new kits, look at how much tighter the weave is on this stuff, right? And so we're constantly improving, even if it's subtly, the quality of the product. And the reason for that is I want you to have something that's gonna work when you need it to work. This is the bare minimum. We have, these are currently in stock, shipping fast. Tight weaves, tight groupings, says Scuba Rub. What's up, Scuba Rub? Edgar Harvey, am I late? Only by 31 minutes and 25 seconds. Gary Bromlin, what's up? Shalom, brother. So anyway, this is the bare minimum. This is a compact little kit, and this has tourniquet, pressure bandage, shears, chest seals, burn dressing, wound closure, boo-boos, OTC wipes, all that stuff. Shalom, brother Andy. So these are in stock, they're shipping fast, the bare minimum. And like the big kit, the Bear Fac, what this has going on is you grab this tab, you pull, grab the red handle, pull, inner comes out of the outer, and then you can get this with one hand if needed. Good Velcro on that one. And pop it open. And it's got all your stuff in there, ready to go, packed by us. A lot of people right now are like, buy our first aid kit, and you get it and it's like a box full of stuff and it's not packed, and so they're basically getting you to do the labor for them. So anyway, these are available today, refugemedical.com. And I think, Lauren, help me out here. It's flat rate shipping, right?
Everything under $100 is $5.
Everything under 100 is $5 shipping.
Everything over 100 is $10.
Everything over 100 is $10 shipping.
And so when you spend $100 or more, you get our webinar for free.
Right, and so if you spend $100 or more, you get access to our online training webinar for free. So
This month only though.
And this month only though. And like I just had a law enforcement officer walk in this morning and order 100 Slishmans and 100 pressure dressings for a local school around here, which is awesome. So the demand is up, the supply chain is down, things are getting a little bit weird again. So I would strongly encourage you, if you can, go to the website, go to refugemedical.com. The stuff that is in stock will say in stock on it. The stuff that is produced to fulfill will say that on there as well. Like lead time 2 weeks, lead time 3 weeks, whatever. Yes, HSA and FSA eligible, salty to society, always, constantly. So you can check all that out, refugemedical.com. Get your stuff on pre-order if it's not in stock, but bare minimums and SOBs and bleeding prevention kits are in stock, and then the rest of it will be the end of this month. We're within a couple of weeks beginning to ship. So with that, continuing, now that I've had an opportunity to pee. So dude, Shamsuddin Jabbar, definitely not a terror attack, even though we had an ISIS flag. What's the first mention of the acronym ISIS? Comes out of a news article out of Israel in 1982, and it's the Israeli Special Intelligence Service. What about the fact that Abu Dinjabbar al-Baghdadi, that guy, his real name is Eli Shimon, and he's a Mossad operative. Oh shit. Oh shit. Whoa, is the tail wagging the dog here? Yeah, and we should probably be honest about that because we're fixing to have a war with Iran. You may have noticed that Justin Trudeau is out and he's leaving because narrative, counter-narrative, he's leaving because the Liberal Party in Canada has become wildly unpopular. And that's partly true in my assessment. But I think the primary reason he's leaving is he's facing a considerable number of charges regarding the sexual abuse of minors. Surprise, surprise. Oh, look, more satanic pedophiles running the world. Okay? Well, the new guy, I forget the new guy's name in Canada, was asked if he thought that Israel should attack Iran to take their nuclear weapons systems offline. And his response was, Israel would be doing the world a favor, or something to that effect. And so you see this mounting narrative, again, that Israel should attack Iran to take their nuclear weapons systems offline. I don't love the idea of Iran having nuclear weapons. Iran thinks that Iran thinks that Israel is the little Satan in America, is the great Satan. So to the extent that I want those guys to continue to respirate, not much. Now, we got to differentiate, honestly, between the people of Iran and the leadership of Iran, just like the leadership in the United States of America is a bunch of satanic pedophiles that are fleecing you of your taxpayer dollars to perpetuate war around the world. And let's go super deep. Basically suppressing 0-point energy, Nikola Tesla 100 years ago, keeping you under the thumb of the man, right? So the leadership versus the populace. The populace of the United States of America is more or less good people. The leadership, not so much. Same thing in Iran. But do I want the leadership of Iran to have nuclear weapons? No, I don't, because the likelihood that they target us with them is fairly high. Now, let's also remember that Iran is a proxy state of Russia and has been since 1979, okay? Just like Israel, or at least we're told that Israel is a proxy state of the United States of America and the Middle East. I actually think it's at least a 50-50 relationship between the United States and Israel. And going back to leadership, why? Why? Well, literally the president of Mexico is a Jew. The president of Mexico? Claudia Sheinbaum? Does Sheinbaum sound like a Mexican name to you? Now, this is not me being anti-Semitic, but I'm a believer in Messiah, for those that don't know. And the Yehudim, the tribe of Judah, the Jews, are the same Yehudim that, well, no man takes my life, I lay it down freely, which is true. Not very Aztecish, exactly, Rocky Mountain Bear. Because Messiah is the personification physically of the creator of the universe, right? So you can't kill him. You can't make him do anything. He has to give his life up freely. Are you Jewish, Bear? No, but not even close. I'm so Christian that Christians don't like me anymore. And I seek no man's approval, so I don't care. So the Pharisees are the ones that had Messiah impaled, all right? Yeshua, Messiah, Jesus, says, beware the leaven of the Pharisees. Okay, what's leaven represent biblically? Sin and false doctrine. Beware the sin and false doctrine of the Pharisees. Do not be conformed to their mode of behavior and worship. Okay? Now, let's fast forward a little bit. Thessalonians and then the book of Revelation. Those that say they are the Yehudim and are not. Now, we think about that metaphorically, maybe religiously. They say that they're Jews, but they're not Jews. You ever done a dive into who it is that says that they're Jews that currently occupy the nation state of Israel? It is a small portion of the land grant called Canaan or Canaan that was given to the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the 13 tribes if you count Levi. Turns out the people that are over there that claim the heritage of Abraham aren't even the people that were part of those tribes that left Egypt and then went to occupy the land grant of Canaan, which was the inheritance from Shem, the son of Noah. It was taken by Ham, who, whole nother story. Okay? Khazarians from Ukraine. Ding, 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 says Zach. Okay. Those that say they're the Yehudim and are not, whose mode of worship has been infiltrated by the Babylonians because of the Babylonian exile, beginning when the temple fell during the first temple period in 587 BC, resulting in the exile of the prophet Daniel 586 BC, out of which comes the Talmud, and the Talmud, per Judaism, outranks the Word of God, which is blasphemy. Which is why Messiah says, do not be conformed to the mode of worship of the Yehudim, those that say they are the Yehudim and are not. So we end up with a people group occupying a place called Israel that isn't biblical Israel over there in a land grant, part of the land grant given to the sons of Abraham, us. What's up, Ephraim? If you're watching this, Ephraim, and those who believe in Messiah, who are grafted in Romans 11, Ephesians chapter 2, into the tree of life, which is a euphemism for Israel, which is why Messiah says, I come first for the lost sheep of the house of Israel, not the nation state that the Rothschild put together in the 1948-1949, but the people group of Israel, Genesis 32, that have three descriptors, okay? He who is struggling with Elohim, God, he who overcomes with Elohim, and he who is ruling with Elohim. Now, that overcoming part is by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony, which is Messiah, which means Messiah is literally in the middle of Israel, struggling with, then Messiah, then ruling with. So you can't have Israel apart from Messiah, but you have a people group over there in the Middle East who killed Messiah. He laid his life down freely, but allow me that. Who nailed him to a cross, that people are worshiping, that are controlling the entire global economy because, 87% of bank leadership around the world happens to be of one particular race. Now, these are data points. This is not anti-Semitic. And as far as elder brother Judah is concerned, which is a term that's used a lot in the Torah observant movement, elder brother Judah. Yeah, he's in the family, but just because he's in the family doesn't mean he's behaving. And then it begged the question of, do the people who currently live where elder brother Judah used to live, are they elder brother Judah? If your older brother Joe owned a house and he moved out and somebody else moved in, is that your older brother Joe? Or is that somebody who lives where older brother Joe used to live? And then if it turns out that your older brother Joe's new tenants are total D-bags, are you supposed to respect them? Maybe to the extent that they're people, and we should love our neighbor as ourselves. But they're not afforded any particular super amount of grace for their bad behavior because they live in older brother Joe's house and older brother Joe doesn't live there anymore. Oh shit. Yeah. So how deep of a rabbit hole do you want to fall into here? My point is, ISIS, Swamp Bucket gets it, Synagogue of Satan. My point here is, sounding like Kanye, careful. I don't think I'm going to be careful. My point here is, ISIS and ISIS-K, I think has been a long-standing psyop, if you will, between American and Israeli intelligence services in order to... Now, there are people over there who are not behaving appropriately who do deserve death, 100%. And there are enemies of America in the world over there that shouldn't be afforded nuclear weapons, shouldn't be allowed to pick up a Soviet PKM or a manpad or anything else. Or like people that want to hurt people should get some. I'm all for that. But as far as the narrative as to why these people who want to hurt people need to get some, it's all garbage. It's all garbage. And to what end? And I think that's part of why, coming all the way back around, that's part of why the deep state, the entrenched bureaucracy, doesn't want Orange Man to get in, which is why you're seeing an uptick in these domestic civil disturbances that are happening here that are totally not terror attacks, because the compromised FBI, the same FBI that's been targeting Trump for the last 4 years or more, is complicit in this. Oh, we had them on our radar. Yeah, because you were enabling them. And that's not a stretch, because we know, for example, Fast and Furious, Mandalay Bay shooting, the Bundy Ranch. Shall we continue? So, does Trump have a replica of the Ark of the Covenant? I have no idea. I had never even heard that before. Maybe. Lots of people have replicas of it. There's an entire religious sect of Ethiopian Christians that claim that they have it. I don't know. How does this, now, fascinating, all this, 45 minutes. How does all this affect you? The shenanigans are likely to continue, regardless of how we feel about it, regardless of where the truth is. And so, if you're going to look at MET-TC here, the C, effects on civilian targets, or effects on civilians rather, that's us, okay? That's us. Trump has the Ark and the Silver Crown of Torah. How interesting. Oh, and he suffered a head wound but did not die. Oh, people don't like that one. How does this affect you? Oh, dude, do all the basic prepper stuff. All the basic prepper stuff. Food, water, shelter, intel, combo, self-defense, medical. You need to be able to be on your own. And by on your own, I mean with people that you love and trust, doing the things, because if/when this broken system fails, you don't want to fail with it. The rest of it's all fascinating to me. Where is truth? I would submit to you, there is no truth apart from the Word and the Word made flesh. Simple as that. Now, there's 54,000 different denominations of just Christendom. There's thousands of different sects of Judaism. Then don't even get me started on the sons of Ishmael. So what is the Word? What is the truth? That's between you and the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit. This is why I say I'm so Christian the Christians don't like me, because I read the Bible and I do what it says. Period. The end. Call no man father but your Father in heaven, said Messiah, unless he just happens to be wearing the crown of Dagon, aka the Pope, the Holy Father. No, I'm not going to submit to that guy. Not going to do it. Or anybody else for that matter. Because let each man work out his own salvation with fear and trembling. All right? So I just read the Bible and I just do what it says to the best of my ability. And I fall short on that, which is why I have a Mashiach, an intercessor, and the anointed one, Messiah, in the first place. Okay? Because no man can do it perfectly. But it doesn't mean you shouldn't try. And people confuse salvation with sanctification. Salvation is by grace through faith, lest any man should boast, by the blood of Messiah. Okay? Sanctification, the process of becoming more saint-like, becoming less flesh and more spirit, is by obedience to the Most High. And the Most High has already told us what to do. We got it. It's in a book. It's very simple. You just open it up, you pray over it, say, Father, show me what I need to see here, and then you read. And then he who can be trusted with little can be trusted with much. You start at what you can execute on until you develop the education, the discipline, the spirit to execute on more and more and more. You do it to the best of your ability. And this is balanced by Proverbs 24, verse 12. Accountability and understanding track together. So if you don't know very much, you're not held accountable for very much. But if you know a whole lot, you're held accountable for a whole lot. Right? Which is, again, why each man works out his faith with fear and trembling. Individually. It is a one-on-one relationship between you and the Creator by the blood of the Most High. I will answer for you to a certain extent because of the book of James. My brothers, let not many amongst you be teachers, for they are held to a higher account. Okay, so I will answer for you. You won't answer for me. All right? Men, to the extent that you are a father and a husband, you will answer for how you led your family, how you taught your family. But I won't answer for Bill, who works across the street. Okay, because I have nothing Bill and I don't interact. My righteousness, to the extent that I have any, will never account for Bill. And Bill's righteousness, to the extent that he has any, will never account for me, because it's between each individual person and the Creator. So, I digress. Nick Burnett much. I don't even know who Nick Burnett is. That's the show for today. I'm glad that I probably pissed off 2,418 of y'all, but maybe gave you something to think about. Don't believe the narrative. Don't believe the counter narrative. Be conscious of what is vying for your attention, because attention is the new currency. And attention and intention go hand in hand. I was talking about this on Patreon the other night. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. Right? Words matter. Words matter. We all agree on that. And I hear people all the time who are like, don't you think a pastor should clean up his language a little bit? It's like, don't you think you should be less of a pussy? Did that thought ever cross your mind? Because John the Baptist compared the works of the Pharisees to filthy menstrual rags. He called them douchebags. Yeah, Messiah called the Pharisees vipers and a den of adders, and pigs, compared them to pigs. Huge insult. Do you think Samson was policing his language as he was beating 1,000 Philistines to death with the jawbone of an ass? Do you think when King David marched back into Jerusalem and they wrote songs about the tens of thousands of men that David killed while in service to the Most High, that he was like, I better only say tiddlywinks, I don't want to upset anybody, okay? It's not the words themselves, because we don't practice black magic. This isn't an incantation. It's not about phraseology. It's the intent of the words that matters. Intent matters far more than the noise that you make with your face, okay? Intent. And intent is right next to attention. And so be very, very conscious of what it is that's vying for your attention, because where you put your attention, your intent is. And intent is what matters. And so my intent for y'all is for you to always leave here better than you came. Hopefully better educated, a little bit of entertainment, better equipped and empowered to go out in the world and be the light, a positive force for good. And boys and girls, the world that we live in is getting to a place where the sounds that come out of our face will not matter anymore. What will matter is, do you have a relationship with the Creator? Do you have a roof over your head? Are there 4 walls that are weatherproof around you that you can heat? Do you have food? Do you have water? Do you have people that you trust? That's what's gonna matter, okay? Not, oh, he said a 4-letter word. You're gonna survive the end of the world as you know it, and you're afraid of syllables? Really? You call yourself a prepper? No, he said a bad word. You're not gonna make it, sweetheart. I'm sorry. Hey, what are you gonna, somebody has a compound fracture of the femur, and you're afraid of the word shit. You're gonna be screaming the word shit if you roll up on a compound fracture of the femur and you don't know what to do about it. You might just pass out because you just can't handle it. It's the intent that matters. My intent is to serve y'all to the best of my ability. And I think you guys need to remember that too. I'm human. And no man was perfect. No, not one. Except for Mashiach. I ain't it. I ain't it, Chief. Don't put me up on a pedestal. So, with that, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Links to all the cool stuff is down in the description. May the Father bless you today. Stay frosty, and I don't mean because it's negative 47 outside. I mean because the world is weird. I will see y'all when I see y'all. Shalom.